Rivals Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing one of our deep dives, and we're digging into the latest intel drop from the league front office. This is the Football Rivals Pro League Week 15 update.
That's right. And our goal here is really to, break it all down, pull out the key stuff so you're totally up to speed as we head towards, the playoffs and the year 2 draft.
Exactly, because this league, it thrives on your involvement, right?
Yeah.
Creating players, following careers, being part of that whole community. So understanding this update, where things stand right now, it's pretty crucial.
It absolutely is. And this particular update, it landed Thursday, May 29th. It really, it sets the stage, covers the whole spectrum, standings, draft order, playoff picture, who's dominating the stats sheets through week 14.
Okay, so where should we start? Standings seem like the obvious place.
Yeah, let's hit the conference standings first. That's where everyone looks.
All right, so pulling from the source here, Apex Conference. The Brawlers are just, 12-1 in the East.
Yeah, ridiculous pace.
And the Crush aren't far behind, 11-2 in the North.
Still very strong.
Then you've got the Reign leading the West at 9-4, and the Natives top of the South at 8-5.
Mm-hmm. And what really jumps out there in the Apex is just how dominant those top two are. 12-1, 11-2. I mean, those aren't just good records. Those teams look like serious title threats already.
Right. There's a bit of a gap, isn't there, between the Brawlers and Crush and then the Reign and Natives.
Definitely. Based purely on wins and losses, yeah. The Reign and Natives are leading divisions, which is great, but that top tier, it's something else.
So is it the same story over in the Nexus Conference? More dominance?
Not quite the same, actually. The Nexus also has a clear leader, the Fury. They're 11-2 in the East, so, mirroring the Crush. But then it gets tighter, much tighter.
Okay, how so?
Well, the North. You've got the Rhinos and FD tied up at 9-4.
Oh, okay. A tie at the top.
Exactly. In the South, the Wildcats lead at 8-5. But look at the West. The Sandstorm and the Dukes, they're tied for the lead at only 6-7.
6-7. Leading a division. Wow.
Right. It tells you everything about how competitive that division is.
That Nexus West sounds like a total battleground. And the tie in the North. I mean, these last few weeks must be incredibly intense for those teams.
For sure. It's a real contrast, isn't it? You've got the Apex with these clear powerhouses playing for seeding, maybe home field advantage, and then parts of the Nexus where teams are just scrapping tooth and nail to even win the division, let alone think about playoff seeding beyond that. Different kinds of pressure.
Yeah, completely different. So, speaking of teams maybe not quite where they want to be, let's talk about the bottom of the standings, because that ties directly into the year 2 draft, right? The source says the bottom 10 teams after week 14, they lock in the first 10 picks.
That's the crucial part. This is where hope starts for next season for those fan bases. It's a massive opportunity.
So who's looking at that number 1 pick right now?
Well, unfortunately for them, the Hoplites are sitting there at 1-12. It's been a really tough season.
Yeah, 1-12. But hey, number 1 pick.
Exactly. Then you've got a logjam at 3-10. That's the Firebirds, the Law, and also the Grunge, all sitting at 3-10.
Okay, so picks 2, 3, 4, likely coming from that group. Rough seasons, but like you said, that draft pick, it's a potential game changer.
It really is, especially in this league where you can see talent develop in the college system and then bring them in.
So who else is in that top 10 draft projection?
Right after that group, you have another cluster, this time at 4-9. That's the Marauders, the Crusaders, and the Mammoth. And the Surf are also there at 4-9.
Okay, 4 teams at 4-9.
Mm-hmm. And rounding out the top 10, you've got the Sharks and the Railstorm, both sitting at 5-8, projected 9th and 10th picks there.
So for all those teams, from 3-10 down to 5-8, these final games, they're not just playing out the string. Their draft position is literally on the line.
Absolutely. Every win or loss could shift where they pick. That year 2 draft looms large.
Okay, let's pivot back to the immediate future then. Playoffs. Who's currently in and where are they seated heading into week 15? Let's start with the Apex again.
All right, Apex playoff picture. No surprise, the Brawlers hold that number 1 seed. Locked it down with that record.
Makes sense.
The Crush are number 2, Reign number 3, and the Natives are the 4 seed as the South Division leader.
Okay, the 4 division winners. What about the wild cards?
The wildcard spots are currently held by the Mob at number 5, the Bombers at 6, and the Mojo squeezing in at 7.
That's a strong top group in the Apex.
Yeah.
The Mob, the Bombers. Those are dangerous wildcard teams.
Definitely a powerhouse lineup at the top, yeah.
And how does the Nexus shape up for the playoffs?
Nexus side. The Fury, like the Brawlers, have secured that number 1 seed. Also dominant.
Right, we'll 11-2.
Then the Rhinos are the 2 seed. Wildcats hold the 3 seed. And here's where it gets interesting again. The Sandstorm are the 4 seed.
The 6 and 7 Sandstorm as the 4 seed.
Yep. Winning that tight West Division gets them the 4, despite the lower record compared to some wildcards.
Wow. Okay, so who are the Nexus wildcards then?
Currently, it's FD holding the 5 seed, the Riot at 6, and the Strangers are number 7.
So that Sandstorm situation really highlights the difference winning your division makes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even at 6-7, they get a home game, potentially.
Exactly. But it also sets up a potentially tough path for them against higher seeds if they advance.
And with some of those wildcard records likely being pretty close, and division races like the Nexus North still technically tight, Week 15 could really shake things up, couldn't it?
Oh, massively. One game could change everything. Hosting versus traveling, getting in versus being left out. The pressure is definitely on.
Okay, let's shift gears from teams to the players themselves. The update, the source material from Rivals Radio, gives us the top stat leaders through 14 weeks. Let's talk about the guys slinging the rock. Who's leading the passers?
Well, you have to start with Frost from the Brawlers. He's just having a phenomenal MVP-type season. Leads in yards, completions, TDs, and rating.
And the TD number,
46 touchdowns.
46 through 14 weeks.
It's unreal. Just speaks volumes about him and that Brawlers offense. But he's not alone. Curtis and Crothers are right up there in yards and completions, too.
Yeah, the list is deep. McNamara, Green,
Yeah.
tons of talent under center, putting up big numbers.
It's a really deep pool, yeah.
What about the guys running the ball? Who's pounding the rock effectively?
Leak, again from the Brawlers, is leading the way in yards and attempts. He's a true workhorse, gets touchdowns too.
Brawler's offense sounds unstoppable.
Pretty close. But Hobbs is another standout, maybe not the yardage leader, but 13 rushing touchdowns. That's impressive goal line work.
13 scores. That's finding the end zone.
Definitely. And it got Levy, Bush, lots of strong running backs across the league. Porter also has double-digit TDs, 10 of them.
Serious ground games out there. Okay, who are the receivers making the big plays?
Silva from the Sharks is leading in both yards and receptions. He's clearly a go-to guy, a real game changer for them.
Yards and catches leader, nice.
Then you have Connell, who's just a reception machine. The update mentions him hitting 101 catches already.
Over 100 catches, incredible volume.
Yeah. And Farr stands out too. Maybe not the same volume, but 13 receiving touchdowns. Super efficient in the red zone.
13 TDs for Farr, and who's the top tight end?
That's Boggs, leading the position in the major categories, really proving the value of an elite tight end.
Good stuff. Okay, defense. Who's making all the tackles?
Griffith from the Mammoth is just everywhere. Leads in total tackles, solo, assists. The numbers are huge. He's relentless.
A tackling machine.
Definitely. Black and Woodson are also racking up massive tackle numbers. These are your defensive anchors.
And the guy's getting after the quarterback. Sacks leaders.
Grant is having a monster year. 16 sacks, 27 tackles for loss. That's just game-wrecking production.
16 sacks, wow.
Yeah. Pearson and Montague are also in double digits for sacks. These are the guys disrupting those elite QBs we talked about.
Absolutely crucial. How about the ball hawks? Who's leading in interceptions?
Meltzer leads in picks, but what's interesting is he also has over 100 tackles. Great dual threat player in the secondary.
Picks and tackles, nice.
Though Moreland actually has the most outright interceptions with 6. Just fantastic ball skills. Spellman, Thomas, Holloman are right there too.
Turning games around with those takeaways. Okay, special teams often get overlooked. How about the kickers?
This is actually pretty amazing. The consistency is off the charts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the list of top kickers: Reinhardt, Hunt, Olsen, James, Bloom, Hartwig, Myers, Colombo, Corcoran, Schmidt. The source lists them all as perfect on field goals through week 14.
Perfect. All of them.
All of them. Reinhardt and Colombo are both 26 for 26.
26 for 26. That's just automatic.
Money. Completely reliable. It's incredible.
Wow. Okay, and finally, the return game. Any sparks there?
Definitely. Pierce leads in kick return yards and has taken one to the house. Owens also has a return TD, and his long is even bigger.
Electrifying plays.
Yeah, adds so much excitement. Guys like Alexander, Campbell, Warwick, who also has a TD that can flip field position in an instant.
Love the return game. So all these stats, they obviously feed into the award talk. The update lists the nominees through week 14. Let's hit the big one. MVP candidates.
It's a list you'd expect, featuring the absolute stars. Frost, Crothers, Jenkins, McCarthy, McNamara, Curtis, McCoy, Green, Burrell, and Bayless.
Mostly QBs as usual, but some other studs in there. Stack list.
Very much so.
And the coaches potentially getting Coach of the Year.
Again, reflects team success. You've got Gaffney from the Brawlers, Fry from the Riot, Russian from the Crush, Brock from the Fury, Peters from the Reign. It's the guys leading those top teams.
Makes sense. Top-tier coaching getting recognized.
Exactly.
Now, the update also dives into Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year for each conference, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie, and even positional awards. We probably don't need to read every single name.
No, that would take a while.
Right. But you see the patterns.
Yeah.
Like Frost and Leak nominated for Apex OPOY for the Brawlers. Makes sense.
Or Branch and Far for the Fury in the Nexus OPOY race.
And defensively, Grant and Pearson in the Apex, McMillan and Griffith in the Nexus. The big stat guys are there.
Yeah.
And the Rookie lists are exciting too. Silva, McNamara popping up in the Apex, Hobbs, McCarthy in the Nexus. Shows that young talent is making an immediate impact.
Yeah, it really highlights the depth across the league, doesn't it? Veterans dominating, rookies making waves, sets up some interesting end-of-year award debates.
For sure.
So, let's connect this all back for you, the listener. Why track all this? The standings, the draft order, playoff seeds, stats, awards. What's the point?
Well, it's more than just numbers, right? It's the story of the season.
Exactly, it's the narrative. This data tells you who's really competing, who's building for the future via the draft. It helps you spot those players having maybe historic seasons you want to follow closely. And of course, track your own favorite teams or maybe players you've created, see how they stack up.
Yeah, if you've got a player in the system, you're probably watching these lists like a hawk. Seeing their team's playoff chances, their stats, maybe the draft projection if they're coming up. It just makes everything more immersive, totally. And one more thing from the source, it mentioned a couple of important deadlines for participation.
Right, good catch. For anyone looking to get more involved, college applications for the next season close July 10th at midnight.
Okay, good to know.
And also, GM applications for the Pro League Year 2 are open right now, so real opportunities to jump in deeper.
Perfect. So as we wrap this deep dive, we've seen the landscape heading into Week 15. Dominant teams, tight races, incredible individual performances fueling award buzz. Kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? With the playoffs right around the corner, the pressure ramping up, how does that impact everyone?
That's the big question.
Will the guys like Frost, Leak, Grant, Silva, will they keep up that insane statistical pace under the brightest lights? Will they live up to those MVP or OPOY nominations?
Or does the pressure create an opening? Do we see underdogs rise? Do unexpected players become heroes in these crucial final games?
Yeah, will the pressure crack the favorites or forge them into champions? It's where things get really interesting.
The end of the season. It's where narratives shift, legends are confirmed, or sometimes new stories just begin. Anything can happen.
It really can. Well, this look at the Football Rivals Pro League. Week 15 update has definitely given us, and hopefully you, a clear picture of where things stand.
Yeah, the data shows clear leaders, yes, but also fierce battles everywhere else, and just individual brilliance shining through. Week 15 feels like a real pivot point.
Absolutely. So keep following along, check those league channels for updates as the games happen, see how it all plays out. Thanks for tuning in for this deep dive with us.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
It's Rivals Radio.